corporate world. So what does, or how does personal branding help our careers? For one, when people know you for something, right, they will not always lump you in with the group of people. And you would always stand out. Because like I said before, the key thing for us is to stand out. When you stand out in your company, or you're standing out in an environment, basically, everyone will begin to look to you. And that is what we want. We want to be known for something, right? So you have to understand what sets you apart from others. And again, it doesn't have to be something big or something extremely different or wild. It's just within you, right? So you would sit back and just think about it. What makes me different from other people? What do I do differently than other people? And you're not going to get that answer in one day or in 1 week. Some people are lucky. Not everybody is that lucky to get their answer in 1 day or in 1 week. So it is a process trying to define your own personal brand. You have to sit with yourself and basically ask yourself, what are my unique strengths? What do I do better than anyone else? What am I passionate about? What are my goals? What are my career goals or my life goals? What do I enjoy doing? What do I love to speak about? So these are things, or these are ways that can help you to figure out your own personal brand. It also involves crafting a consistent and authentic image that reflects your skills, your values, and your personal identity. Because again, with the common thing that I've noticed working in corporate for as long as I have is that everyone almost starts to behave the same. And when you're behaving the same as everyone else, people would easily forget you. Like you would fade into the background, just like everyone else is fading into the background. And we are lights, we are special people, we do not fade into the background. And the only way for that to happen is for you to be known for something or as something. So yes, a personal brand is also very, very important, not just for an entrepreneur, but also in your career as well. So it also allows you to be consistent, right, across your career or across your entire career, basically. So it makes you consistent because you've told people, this is who I am, this is what I stand for, this is what I represent. It basically holds you accountable to that as well. So your personal brand has to also align with your values. What are the things that you value the most? What are the things that drive you? What are those values that you hold on to, like even outside of work, in life as well? So your personal brand also has to align with your own personal core values, your personal convictions. So it's more than just self-promotion and all of that. It's about defining who you are and communicating that to the world. So who is Angel, right? I would sit down and I would figure that out. And then instead of hiding that part of myself, I would share that with the world. I would communicate that value with the world. So by defining, your unique strengths, by defining what your core values are, and basically understanding yourself, it will help you to better position and better create your own personal brand. So since we're talking about personal branding in the context of your career and a corporate job, like I said, the goal is to stand out. We want to stand out in the office. So, and I mean, we know how the job market is right now. It is very, very competitive. You have thousands of people who have graduated with, say, a master's degree or a bachelor's degree in engineering, for example, and there's like maybe over 900 people. There probably aren't over 900 jobs available for those people. So we have an influx of qualified engineers, but we don't have that same influx of jobs available, right? So what separates us or what differentiates us from the other 899 people that have graduated with the same degrees that we have? Because if they have a master's degree or they have a bachelor's degree, and they've all done internships, they've all we've all gotten good results, and everybody is the same, why should a company pick person A instead of person B when person A and person B are technically the same? So again, this is where personal branding comes in, right? So while you're developing or building your own personal or professional brand, you're also crafting a professional image. Now, a professional image is basically the way you carry yourself or the way you portray yourself outside to other people. Of course, in a professional setting or a corporate setting, right? So it starts with your resume, it starts with your online presence, which I will get to because that is very, very important. It starts with how you carry and present yourself, right? So you're crafting an image for people to see. You're basically controlling your own narrative. You're telling people, I am not like the 900 people that just graduated with a master's in engineering degree. I am better, I have value. I know my value. I know what I bring to the table. So you're basically creating your own perception for people. So rather than society or, whoever is employed or anyone else outside looking at you and judging and basically telling you, oh, I know who you are. No, before they even have a chance to do that, to create an impression of you, you do that for them. So you tell them, hey, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I bring, these are my values, and this is how much of a superstar I am. So that means that they don't even have any time to judge you or create the wrong perception or the wrong idea of you. And if you're let's start from like if you're job hunting, this has to cut across, like I said, your resume, your online presence, and again how you carry and introduce yourself. So we'll start with the resume. Your resume is basically your marketing tool, right? I mean, we all know what a CV is. You will talk about your qualifications, your achievements, employers, and all of those things. But I think the common error that I've noticed, and even mistake that I've made, is that we think our resume is supposed to get us the job. But your resume is not to get you the job, right? Your resume is to land you, is supposed to get you an interview. Is the interview that gets you the job or not? I mean, are there people that get hired via their resume alone? Maybe, yes. But in a general sense, your resume is not to give you the job. Your resume is to get you through the interview. And that's where, all of these three come into place. So again, your resume is basically your marketing tool. It's like dangling a carrot in front of them, like, hey, I'm the person you're looking for. Let's call me. That's basically what your resume does. So you're supposed to tailor your resume for each job application that you are sending out. You cannot have one resume and use the one resume for multiple job applications. And I'll tell you why. I will actually tell you why. So not every company uses the same job description for the same role. So a project manager at Google might have a different job description to a project manager at Mobile or Yahoo or a different company, right? So your resume, because the goal is to land an interview, your resume is supposed to be tailored to the specific job that you're applying for. And that can be like, tweaking your professional summary in your resume. That includes also changing the way you've written your work experience. That also includes putting in some specific skills. let's say this particular job is asking for certain skills that you have. I mean, because we're not lying. So if it's asking for certain skills that you have, please include that in your resume. And if you have some skills in your resume that the job is not asking for, remove it from your resume, take it out, because they don't care about them. Remember, the goal is to land you an interview, not to get you the job. And the only people that they'll call for the interview is people that basically tick all the boxes on the job description that they sent out. So you basically want to mirror the job description. So what are they asking for? A, B, C, D. On your resume, you're going to put A, B, C, D. Because again, we want to get to the interview stage. And I will talk about that soon. But so you're going to have to tailor your resume for every single job you're applying for, right? Can I get a thumbs up if you're following? And also, if you have any questions, don't forget to send a chat. Thank you, David. I see that. Thank you, Lowell. Thank you, guys. Okay, so your resume, it should be tailored to the specific job you're applying for. Another thing that people like kind of or tend to miss is after you write your name and you put your phone number, your email address, all of that, make sure that you also include the job title, not the job that you're currently in, the job title for the job you're applying for. So for example, if you're a project manager, but you're applying for a program manager role or a data analyst role, put data analyst on your resume. Because again, the goal is to land an interview. And they don't really care that you're a project manager now. What they want to see is that you're applying for the data analyst role. Praise, your hands are up. Is that for a question or was that an accident? Okay, I'll just continue then. So you want to have the job title on your resume as well. You want to have the specific skills that they are asking for. Like I said before, even if you've listed like 10 amazing skills that you have, right? If on the job description, they only ask for 6 out of those 10, put just those 6, or at least make sure that those 6 skills that the job description is asking for is present and highlighted on your resume. That's also super important, because imagine you're a hiring manager and you get like 15 or you get like 30 different resumes. You're not going to spend an entire day reading through every single one. You're going to be skimming it. And again, the goal is to show them every single thing that makes you a great candidate in as little time as possible. So the job title, your skills should be there. And also the way you write your experience also matters. And again, it should be tailored to, it should be tailored to every role. So, instead of saying something like, let's say you're a social media manager and you're applying for the same job title. So instead of saying things like, I was responsible for managing social media accounts, you want to remember, we are creating a professional image. So we are creating a perception of ourselves. So instead of saying that, you would say something like, I increased social media engagement by 30% through targeted content strategies, or through targeted ads, or through trend analysis. The difference between those two is, one is very, very generic, right? It's like a subtitle, or the title is very, very generic. The other one tells the hiring manager or the company what exactly you did and how you did it. So another way to tweak your resume and to make it better is, instead of just copying and pasting the job description for all of your experiences, talk about what you did in that role. So you manage social media accounts. That's great. What exactly did you achieve in that? Or, from your perspective, what did you do? Did you increase sales? Did you increase engagement? Did you get them more organic followers? Did you get them more organic leads? Those are the things that will attract or compel the hiring managers and the companies to call you. Remember, the goal is to get them to, get them to offer you an interview and not really to land the job with your resume. You want to get into the interview room. So your resume also plays a part in how you're, in what image you show people. It also plays a big part in your professional image and how you can stand out from the 900 people that are vying for the same job. So again, instead of just saying you're generic, responsible for managing clients' files, give details or give examples, use numbers if you can, right? Now, if you have like years of experience, right, you don't have to fill out 3 pages of your resume unless you're applying for an academic job where they require so much detail. Your resume should be maximum of 2 pages. Maximum of 2 pages, because nobody's going to be going beyond 2. They don't have the time. So just, front and the back, that's it. And you should have your professional summary, of course, your name, the job title, your skills, and they should be relevant to the job. Don't put skills that have nothing to do with the job you're applying for, because you're wasting your own time and their time as well. So your skills, your work experience, if you have like, other jobs that you've done that they're not really relevant, you can still include them, but make sure that it is written in such a way that it adds or it increases your professional image. So that is how you would work on your resume. Now we're going to be talking about LinkedIn, which is my second favorite thing to talk about, because we are in a social media age, and that doesn't just what's the word now? It's not just for Twitter and Instagram and everybody posting details about their lives that nobody should really know about. It also works in the corporate world, especially during COVID, where people could not have interviews face to face and people could not reach out to their networks face to face. Online platforms became like the user engagement increased. And as much as a lot of people were promoting their businesses and using it as a place to just relax and laugh and just with their friends, you were supposed to be building a professional image as well. Because with the way the world is moving now, and especially, for example, in my office, when they get a resume, the first thing they do is search for the person online. And if all you have are like, your social media and memes and you like, laughing with your friends, which there's nothing wrong with that, like at all, that's normal behavior. But if that's all that's there about you on the internet, that doesn't exactly, push you up above the competition, because everybody is like that. Everybody has their own relaxing social media place or platform. So how can you separate yourself from the masses? And that's where LinkedIn comes in. So LinkedIn is basically, how many of us actually have like a LinkedIn profile? I know a lot of people have them, but don't really use them. So if you have one, just give me a thumbs up. Let me know how many people here have one. Okay, so we do have people that have one. That's great. LinkedIn is basically a professional social media platform. The keyword being professional, right? That's basically the one thing that separates them from every other social media platform. And compared to others, it's still relatively new. So that means that not everybody has figured out how to use it yet, which means that is what we can use to stand out from our competition. Right? And even if you're not job hunting, even if you're working, LinkedIn is also a platform that can help you to stand out in your job and in your own career. And the best part about LinkedIn is, because it's a professional platform, a lot of professionals, and I mean like executives and CEOs and business owners, company owners are on LinkedIn, because that is what relates the most with them. And that also means that we can easily now connect with these people that we would otherwise not have seen or not have ever even been able to interact with in our lives. So it gives you like a very, very big competitive edge. It gives you a very big professional branding and networking edge. And it's a very, very powerful platform as well. And so with LinkedIn, you can directly reach out to a company CEO. You can directly reach out to the person that's hiring for a particular job that you want. And this is for people that are currently job searching, right? In fact, go and open a LinkedIn profile and build up and fill out your profile, optimize your profile, because you can use that to reach out to the people that are making key decisions in whatever company that you want to work in or that you want to apply to. And if you already have a job, right, and you're already working, but you want more, you want to stand out, LinkedIn is one of the quickest and easiest platforms to use. Because if you've already figured out your personal brand and you know what you stand for, you know your values, you know what you want to share with the world, you can do that on LinkedIn. And what happens is the more you share, the more you interact with people and build your network and build these relationships, the more opportunities come to you. Most of the opportunities that I've gotten personally have come from LinkedIn. I got my job on LinkedIn. I have gotten multiple interviews and interacted with CEOs and directors and different people, all from LinkedIn, and all by being consistent and building my brand and showcasing my brand as well. And it's not just limited to where I am currently, right? So I've gotten opportunities in Australia, I've gotten opportunities in the US, in Nigeria, with just because I am always promoting myself, marketing myself, and I have a 9-to-5 job, right? So I know that it is possible to combine your own personal or professional image and brand with your corporate job. And again, remember how I said we want to stand out, right? As a young person, I firmly believe that your job should not make up 90% of who you are, right? If someone should ask you, oh, who are you? Or David, who are you? The first thing that comes to your mind should not be your job title. You shouldn't say, oh, I'm an engineer. Okay, but who are you? What values do you hold? What, aside from being an engineer, outside of work, what are you known for? And that is very, very important. That is very, very key, because your job is not always constant, right? Your job is not always constant. So aside from your job, who are you as a person, your vision, your mission, your own personal goals? Who are you? And those are the kind of things that can help you to stand out even on LinkedIn. Right? So you have to create a comprehensive profile and you have to engage with other people as well. And remember how I said it gives you access to, many different companies, access to different people on different levels. So it's like a level playing field. And if you do it right, if you, do the right things, you make the right connections, there is literally no door that will not open for you. Because again, you have access to the people who are making the key decisions in the company. So you can easily send a message to, the CEO of a company. And if you're very good at pitching yourself, you can do that. You can pitch yourself to them. If you're a business owner as well, I've heard people say that, oh, if you're an entrepreneur or if you, run a small business, LinkedIn doesn't really work for you. That is not true. Again, as much as it's a professional social media platform, it is still a social media platform. And I do know a lot of freelancers and entrepreneurs and business owners who weekly, daily, they get clients on LinkedIn and from LinkedIn. And they just do one simple thing. It's not like they're putting out adverts or anything. They keep showing up every day. They have a brand and they keep talking about their brand. every single day. They keep engaging with people every single day. And because, people are seeing them out there, people know what they stand for, people then trust them enough to carry out specific or whatever service it is that they are offering. So the third part of crafting your professional image is your elevator pitch and your mission statement. So it's in simple terms, it's basically if someone should come talk to you at a networking event, like what is the first thing you say? How do you introduce yourself to people? Hi, my name is Angel, dot, dot, dot. That is your elevator pitch. So if you're, looking for, not even looking for a job, but if you're trying to build your own personal brand, this is also something that you want to, work on and perfect, right? So it's basically how do you introduce yourself effectively in a networking situation. So your elevator pitch or your mission statement should be, it should be clear, it should be short. You're not giving anybody like a long story about your life in the first minute of meeting them. It should be interesting, right? It should be brief. It should be able to communicate who you are in one sentence. And again, this is not something that I expect anyone to figure out in a day or a week. It took me, I would say, a year to perfect, introduce myself to people comfortably and confidently, and knowing who I am and figuring out my own goals, my own vision. So it's something that would take you a while to perfect, but this is just so that you can get started and you can see the importance or the significance of this. So if you're at a working event or a corporate event or any event really, it's how do you introduce yourself? How do you make the person that you're meeting be so interested in what you have to say? Like they just like from the first greeting, they're like, oh my God, I like this person. So you know how people say the first impression matters the most. It's basically what is your first impression? And the best part is that we get to create that for other people. We don't let other people to decide how they would see us or what image of us would be in their heads. We get to create our own image and we hand it to them. So your mission statement basically defines your own purpose and your long-term aspirations. Now, this is personal to you. And this, again, it's not about your company or the current job that you're in or the current office that you're working with. Your personal mission statement is personal to you. It reflects your values. It reflects the things that you're passionate about. It reflects the impact you want to have in your own career or your own professional journey, right? So it's basically talking about your own like long-term goals. And so for the longest time, me personally, I struggled with having like long-term goals because I was like, why would I just sit down and start planning for 15 years when I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow, but I will lose my job or something. So for the longest time, I struggled with that until I realized that your mission statement or your future goal doesn't have to be tied down to like specific daily tasks or a specific line item. It could just be, when you close your eyes, where do you see yourself in the next few years? Don't even put a timeline to it. And I don't mean what job do you see yourself in or what job role do you see yourself in? It's, do you see yourself working in a different country or traveling and meeting people, or do you see yourself running a business or helping other people run their own businesses? So just, close your eyes and think about what career scenario would make you the most fulfilled or the happiest. So think about that, get an image of yourself happy and fulfilled. What is in that image? Where are you? What are you doing? Who are you with? What have you done? What is making you happy? What impact did you have? What goal did you achieve? So Write all of those things down, make a list. It could be a long list or short list, that's fine. So write those things down. Also, like, reflect, just take a day or couple minutes every day and ask yourself, what are my values? What are the things that ground me? What are the things that I cannot compromise on or I can never change? So you write them down as well. Then you ask yourself, what are my passions? What are the things that I am passionate about? What are the things that I love to do? Things that if I wasn't getting paid, like if I had all the money in the world, what are the things that I would still get up in the morning to do regardless? I would do them for free. So those are also things that you should ask yourself. And then with that, you can create your own personal mission statement, because what that does, that it will guide you on your career journey. It will remind you that, oh, you don't have to take this job because it does not align with where you see yourself in the next few years. So your mission statement, it's like a guide that you have written for yourself. Now, don't be too rigid, because your goals can always change. So your mission can always change. But your core values should never change, because those are, like, it's basically the pillar or the backbone of who you are as a person. And if your backbone is always changing, that means you're a very shaky person. And a shaky person cannot build a brand that people can trust. So your core values don't have to change. They should not change, ideally, but your passions can change. Your career goals or your future goals can always change. But your values is what makes up, your core person and personality, and those should not change. So all of these things, so your resume, your online presence, your elevator pitch, your mission statement, all of them combined help you to build a very powerful professional image, and not just an anyhow image, but one that aligns with your career goals. So it's like, building your whole person. And a strong personal image, like, it not only impresses like potential employers or future employers, but it also will inspire your own confidence. It will help you to become more confident, because you now trust yourself and you now see the goal. And it will also reflect with how other people treat you and how other people see you. Because you can always tell when a person is confident. You can always tell when a person is comfortable in their skin and in themselves. And that means that your colleagues will be able to tell, right? When you walk into work, they will be able to tell that you are different. When you're, in meetings with clients or or working with a team, they would be able to tell that you are a different breed. So in the corporate world, because everyone tends to behave the same, someone who is confident, who stands out, who knows who they are, would always, always be different. And a well-crafted image would open doors to new opportunities for you. And it will elevate your career and elevate your own success, your own personal success, and of course, your career success. So we're going to be talking about leveraging your online presence. And we're going to be using LinkedIn, of course, as our basis, because it's the #1 professional online platform. So basically, I'm going to be talking about building a strong online presence through social media and your personal website, if you're interested in having one, how to utilize content marketing, and how to showcase your expertise to others, how to engage with your network, and how to navigate online etiquette. That's basically how to behave online. So building a strong online presence. Again, this is something that you build, once you start figuring out. I said figuring, not figured, because it's a process. Once you start figuring out your own personal brand, then we can say, let us put this outside. Now, I work a 9 to 5. I work a very much corporate job. I have always worked in corporate. So I have run my own business as well, and I still do. So I've done, bit of both on both sides. But the one thing that I would say that has really opened doors for me is not my business, and it's not even my 9 to 5 corporate job. It's my online presence. I literally met Victor online because I was doing what I love to do. I was teaching and sharing my knowledge with people. And all the opportunities that I have ever gotten has been from online. It has been just me showing up every day, sharing what I love to share, talking about what I love to talk about. And the thing is, because the world is so large, there will always be an audience for the thing that you want to share or the thing that you are passionate about. And again, it doesn't have to be separate from your career, because if you're wondering, what if I'm actually passionate about my career? Even better, that's even the best, because you can talk about your own career journey. You can share your career struggles. You can share the things you've learned as, say, you're in the medical field, the things you've learned as a doctor, the skills that you have developed. You can also share tips and, teach people things online. And that could also be a part of your personal brand and what makes you you, what people love the most about you. So with building an online presence, the first thing, of course, is to actually choose what platform you want to build on. So I know I talk about LinkedIn a lot because it's my favorite one, but it doesn't have to be LinkedIn. If you already have like a good online presence on Twitter or on Instagram, these are the only two that I use anyway, so my apologies. So on Twitter or Instagram, and like if you say you're a freelancer and you have a good Twitter audience already, you don't have to now migrate all of that and say you want to go to LinkedIn because everyone talks about LinkedIn. You already have an online presence. What you have to do now is to build it, make it strong, and make it reflect who you are. Making sure that everything that you post, everything that you talk about, and people that you interact with reflect your own core values and what you stand for. So if Instagram has been your online platform for the longest time, stick with it. Honestly, stick with it. Just make sure that you're doing it with in accordance to your mission statement, your personal goals, your professional image, because you control the narrative. You are basically crafting the perception that you want people to have of you. But you can also build a strong professional presence on LinkedIn, especially because it gives you access to other professionals, especially if you work a 9 to 5. It gives you access to other people in other companies, and those networks would always come in handy. It gives you access to CEOs, to executives, to the key decision makers. And even aside from the CEOs and the big guns in corporate, it gives you access to build your own network. That is other people that are working in the same field that you are in, people that are your age or in the same age brackets. You're building your own relationships, you're nurturing your own relationships. And you have people that you can easily call on when you need something. It's like how our parents, or my parents in particular, if they need something done, they always have someone in a different company that they can call. And that is because for years they have built and nurtured those relationships, right? So that's the same thing we want to do, albeit it's online now, which has its pros and cons, right? Pros being you can build networks with people that are in the US. If you want to get a job outside of the country that you are in, LinkedIn should be the first place that you are on. Because the only way that you can ever get in contact with someone in that company is from LinkedIn. So if you have plans of working, a good example in Amazon, you want to work in Amazon, but you want to work in Amazon in the UK, go on LinkedIn, look for people that are working in Amazon that live in the UK, and start to interact with them. Outside of LinkedIn, I don't know where else you can, find that space to do that or find those people. But go on LinkedIn and look for the companies you want to work in. If you're looking for international jobs, LinkedIn is one of the best places for you to, connect with the actual decision makers. And if you build your profile well, your personal brand well, and you're active and all of that, you don't even have to do all of the work. They would be the ones coming to talk to you, and they'll be the ones sending you messages and asking, if you have time for an interview. So aside from all of that, it's also a place for us to stand out and, shift the focus from our 9 to 5 to us as a person. So when people see you or interact with you, they don't just see you as someone who works at this company and does this job. They'll see that you are more than that. And that would also affect how they interact with you in the workplace. And you will notice that a lot of people begin to, communicate with you differently. As when you go out to networking events, people will recognize you from wherever, maybe Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever you're building your own um, platform or presence in. People will recognize you, and opportunities would open up to you as well. So it also helps more people to know you. The more people know you, the more they can recommend you for stuff. The more they can pay you for your service. So if you're a freelancer, a copywriter, a digital marketer, things like that, and you have positioned yourself well online, you don't have to do much. People can see who you are and see your results, and they'll reach out to you like, oh, hey, I have this gig. I would like to employ you, or I would like to pay you for your services. People don't pay or engage or try to become clients of those that they don't know. So for them to know you, you have to show up. You have to show up consistently every day. Well, not every day, but you have to be consistent. If you're going to be building your brand, you have to be consistent, because the more you show up, the more people see you. The more people see you, the more that they trust you. The more they trust you, the more they will likely hire you, call you in for an interview, engage you for your service, want to hire you remotely. So it's like a little domino effect, right? One thing always leads to the other, but you have to start. You have to start building your own personal brand online, whether you're working in 9 to 5 or you're a freelancer or you run your own business. So utilizing content marketing to showcase your expertise. So it's basically like being a content creator. Now, not everyone likes that word, or not everybody wants to be a content creator. So we will not use the word content creation, even though that's what it means. But we will not use that word. And what we would say is you have to tell people what you do. So let's say you've opened your Twitter handle and you've put like you're a freelance digital marketer or you're a graphic designer, and you set everything up, but you don't tweet. Nobody knows, no one even knows if you're alive. Do you think that people would come into your DMs to ask for your services if they don't see you on their tail at all? They would not, because they actually can't see you. Your profile is there. It's probably a perfect and a great profile. Your LinkedIn profile is there. It's probably great. It's like having a resume, but you don't actually apply for the job. The company would never get your resume because you did not send it in, right? So it's the same thing we have in an online presence. Yes, you have set up your profile. Now you actually have to start posting stuff. And you don't have to take it too seriously. If you're a freelancer, you post about work that you've done, you post about your process, how you create, you talk about the different clients that you've had, you talk about this client that you really enjoyed. So things like that. If you work a 9 to 5 like I do, so I talk about my career journey, I talk about the struggles I've had like in my last job, I talk about the things I'm learning, and so things like that. You don't have to become a whole content creator to be able to showcase yourself. All you have to do really is be yourself and show up and tell people what you do and what you are about. And it's the same thing with engaging with your network, and that's just basically like talking to people. If this is a particular tip that I have personally, and it works for both Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. If there's a particular job that you've been eyeing or you want to get into, and let's use LinkedIn or Twitter for example, you found the person that's hiring, or you found someone that works in that company, you followed them. The next step will be to start engaging with them. And I don't mean like sending them messages. reply to their tweets or reply to their posts, post a nice comment, because that does two things. So on LinkedIn, when you reply to someone's comment, it shows your response to every other person in their network. So if they're connected with the hiring manager or the CEO, they would see your comment. So your comment has to be smart, obviously. And it also kind of alerts them that you are active and you want to engage with them. And the more you do that, it becomes easier for you to actually slide into their DMs eventually, right? So again, leverage online, leverage the freedom and the access that these online platforms give you. Because otherwise, on your own, you might never meet this kind of people, but you can meet them online. So leverage that, use that to your advantage. Don't run away from it. Don't shy from it. Don't say, oh, LinkedIn is too serious, it's too professional. I don't want to be too serious on Twitter. Leverage it, because not everybody is doing it. And if you do it, you automatically stand out from the 900 people that have the same qualifications and degree as you. And of course, online etiquette just basically means be polite. Don't, of course, be polite, treat people kindly, treat them respectfully. You don't want to be known as someone who is always fighting online, especially if it's a professional platform, or if it's even if it's Twitter or Instagram. If it's like from your business page, you have to conduct yourself properly. You cannot be fighting or arguing with people online. If it's your personal page or your personal brand on LinkedIn, you have to engage respectfully, because not only them is seeing that, everyone else in their network is also seeing your own comments or your own posts or your own responses, right? And again, because that gives us a bigger bird's eye view, we want to impress the potential people that might be seeing that comment or our own response. So, be kind, be polite with people, and leverage the online presence. Use those people, use the access that LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram gives you to reach out to these companies or to build networks and connections with these people that you otherwise would not meet. And we were talking about networking for success, and this is in two parts for me. So the first one will be how to master the art of networking in corporate environments, and then how to navigate professional events and make lasting connections. Now, you might not be able to tell, but I used to be very, very shy, and like badly shy. I used to be shy. I am an introvert, and I used to stammer, like when I be hitting your lap to talk. I still do, but it's not as bad. So, but when I decided that I wanted to build a brand for myself outside of my 9 to 5, or no, not outside, with my 9 to 5, there are things that I had to work on and things that I had to hack. So I was not going to stop being an introvert, but I realized that being an introvert meant that I was missing out on networking opportunities and, meeting people and building my own relationships. So I had to find a way to, tweak and hack the system that it works for me, right? So why is networking important? So it's more than just exchanging business cards with somebody or talking about work. Networking is basically building authentic, real, and mutually beneficial relationships with people, especially like in the corporate environment or even in a business environment. So the relationship has to be authentic, that is real, you're not faking it, and it has to be mutual. The whole point of networking is you help me, I help you, not just me asking for help every single time. I'm sure we don't like it when a random person comes to ask us for help all the time. Eventually, we will get tired, right? So with networking, like, it has to be mutually beneficial. You have to be given just as much as you're asking, or giving someone as you're taking. And it doesn't matter where on the food chain you're in. Even if you're a junior and you're at a work event, right? you can still network because you have value. But remember, like we have a personal brand, or we're building our personal brand. We are showing and showcasing our own skills and expertise online. So come with that confidence that, yeah, I want to help somebody and I want someone to help me. I want to be beneficial to someone else as well. So that's the mindset that I had to change. Because before, when I would go for networking events, I would always feel like, oh, I was so small, it didn't matter, and they were all more important than I was. That had to change. You are just as important as the CEO or as the senior executive or your senior supervisor. So first thing I'll do is I'll walk in there confidently, because corporate environments can be hard, and it can be very, very hard to navigate. So if you're sure that you're shy or that you're timid, people will ride on you. So they will use you as a stepping stone. And we don't want anyone to use us as a stepping stone for anything or for their own agendas. So you would have to come in there confidently. Remember, we're building mutually beneficial relationships, and effective networking can lead to job referrals. It can lead to opportunities. It can lead to access to other people's own network. It can lead to access to particular niche in your industry that you're trying to get into. It can also lead to collaborations and beneficial collaborations for yourself as well. So it could be something like connecting with a senior professional at a networking event, and it can lead to them mentoring you, or them telling you that, oh, hey, they have a job opening coming up, or they have this promotion coming up. Now, I've also noticed that, look, in corporate, a lot of the things there are like hush hush, or they're only like three people would know about it. And this is when networking as a corporate professional comes in. You don't just network to go up. So let's do like the sign of a cross. You don't just network vertically to go higher in the food chain. You should also network horizontally. So with people that are on your level, build relationships with them, with the receptionist, with the executive assistant. All of these people, build relationships with them, because there are things that they would know that's happening in the company that you would not know about. And we don't want to be the last persons or people finding about key things or key events that are taking place in the company. We want to always be on top. And access to that kind of information comes by the people that you know. So there are, let's say there are three levels of access that I usually use. So one is, of course, who you know, right? Who you know. We know many people. But the thing is, who you know they might not really open doors for you, because you can know somebody and they will not know you back. And if they don't know you, there's really nothing that they can do for you, or they will not really want to help you. So who you know is one level of access. The second one is who knows you. And this is where your personal brand and your online presence and you putting yourself out there, this is where it comes into play. So who you know is one, that's all well and good. But who knows you? So the more you put yourself out there, the more people know you. The more people know you, the more they can, or the easier they can interact with you, or they can, recommend you and refer you for things, or tell people, oh, hey, I know this guy, he does really good work, because they know you. If they don't know you, they cannot recommend you. So that's the second level of access. The third level is who you are, which again is, it relates back to your personal brand. It relates back to your core values. Who you are, who knows you, and who you know. Who you know is like is the last of the food chain, because if they don't know you back, there's really nothing they can do about it. But if they know you, then they can help. Then they can mention your name in places. Then you can get promoted because they actually know you and they can see you. And then who you are, because people can always tell what you stand for by your first interactions with them. And in corporate, where everyone tends to blend in and want to act like each other, the person that stands out the most would always win. But you have to stand out and stand up for the right reasons. So a couple tips for building meaningful connections. So you have to approach networking with a genuine interest in learning about the other person's experience or goals. So you have to be genuinely interested in the other person, because people can tell when you're just nodding and pretending. So be curious, ask questions, ask them questions, right? Ask questions about the event, about what they do, about what they like. Always ask questions. People like to talk about themselves. So let them talk. So ask them questions, be genuinely interested, then actively listen to them and build rapport, show that you're engaged with what they're saying. So if he mentions that he has a garden in his house, ask about the garden. Or don't just ask him a question and then your mind drifts and then you just forget about every single thing that the person said. That's not a good look for. That's not a good look for anybody. So ask questions, David said, I'm just gonna hide this. What did David say? Knowing where to start can be very difficult. Do you mean like with networking, basically, like knowing where to start with networking, or knowing where to start with building your personal brand? Let me know, and then I can answer the question. So ask questions, actively listen to them, and build rapport with them. Ask them about their careers, especially if you're working in the same field. So you want to make the most of in-person networking opportunities that present themselves where you can go to a place and meet people. Always go. If you can afford it, if it's free or if transport is not an issue, always go, because you never know who you're going to meet. You never know the caliber of people that will be there. And it's for two things. One is to market ourselves, and two is to make valuable connections in the long run. So don't just go there with the goal of, I want to get a job, or I want to meet someone that will give me a job. No, don't put that at the back of your mind. Yes, we want to find someone that will give us a job, but you want to first, be genuine about it and be interested in the event and the person. So all of that should come first, because nobody likes to just, and no one does that. People will not refer someone that they don't know. So if they don't know you or they don't trust you, and you ask them for a job or a referral, they will not refer you, because their own reputation is on the line and they don't know you well enough to do so. So what we want is for them to know us well enough to be able to recommend us for promotions, for opportunities, for new jobs, etc. So again, this is where your elevator pitch comes in, because how do you introduce yourself to these people, especially if they're like seniors or executives, and if they work at your company? So how do you make a lasting impression in these people's minds? Because let's say for a CEO, you might not know everybody's name in the company, or your manager will not know everybody, in depth that they work with. But we want to stand out. So how do we make a lasting impression? It's by the way we carry ourselves. It's by the way we engage, the way we talk to people, the questions that we ask. This is why in-person networking is also very, very important and very, very, very vital. So we want to make a lasting impression on people, right? And it doesn't just end on that day. Let's say there was an event. It doesn't just end on that day. Follow up with them. If you can find them on LinkedIn or at work, you can send them an email, or you can send them like a LinkedIn message, like, oh, dear David, it was a pleasure meeting you at this conference. I enjoyed talking to you about, mention what you guys spoke about, because it shows that you were attentive and you were listening. And just like, oh, I enjoyed our conversation. Let's keep in touch, or let's catch up for coffee after work, or something like that. Because it basically tells them that, oh, I am interested in what you have to say, or I enjoyed what you have to say. And people like to feel good about themselves. We are human beings at the end of the day. We like to feel good. So you can make a lasting impression, simply by following up with them, asking about the conference or asking about what else that they are doing. Right. So the next one we're going to talk about is, I mentioned this before, how to excel in interviews and presentations. So this is like a two-part. Interviews, because remember how I said your resume is not getting you the job. Your resume is getting you to an interview. So it's your interview now that would, tip the scales in your favor, right? So it's how do we prepare for a job interview, and how do we like ace our job interview with flying colors, basically. So, and not just job interviews, even at work, when you're speaking to your manager or you're speaking to the senior executive, how do you speak? How do you ace that interview, quote unquote? How do you make presentations at work? Because that's also a way that you can stand out from your colleagues or other people in your company, right? So interviewing and presentations are critical and crucial moments in your career journey. But you would always do that, especially if you want to stand out and if you want to like grow and be promoted. You'll be required to present and speak to people, and it can have a significant impact on your career. So whether it's in an interview or delivering a presentation, you have to master like the skills that would help you to do these things very well. And the one thing that I would say is that you would have to be confident and give yourself grace. Because especially if you've not, especially if you're not used to speaking to people or you're not used to giving presentations, don't assume that you're going to just figure it all out in one day. Give yourself time. Your first interview might be bad. Your first corporate presentation might be horrible, but you just keep practicing, you keep doing it. So for your interview preparation, right, there are a few things that you must do before you go for any interview. The first one is thoroughly research the company and then research the role that you are interviewing for. Very, very, I have had people in interviews and they do not even know basic things about the company. Now, why would that kind of company hire you when you couldn't do like bare minimum work, right? So if you're going for an interview or you're preparing to speak to, a senior executive, thoroughly research the company or research what you're interviewing for or about. So what is the company's goal? What is the company's mission? What is the company culture? What projects have they achieved or have they finished? What do they like to do? What do they talk about on their websites? So research your company. You can also research them on LinkedIn if they have a business page on LinkedIn as well. You can also research them there and understand the company's values, research company, research the product. So if they ask a question like, oh, why are you interested in working for this company? You can then mention specific things that you have found out in your research. So you talk about, you saw this project that they've done and it really, really resonated with you and you want to work on these kinds of projects. It shows that one, you are attentive, and so you actually want to work in that company. I know that sometimes we just like blindly apply to any company or any role, but still you have to prepare for your interview, because when you feel prepared, you are more confident. And when you're more confident, you speak better, you interact better with the interviewers, and you get an all-round, better experience. So you also want to showcase your strengths and accomplishments in your interview. So highlight your key strengths during your interview. For questions where they're asking you to demonstrate or tell me about a time that this happened, I don't know if you've all heard about the STAR method. So you can use the STAR method, which is the situation, that's S for situation, T for task, A for action, R for results. So it helps you to structure your sentence or structure your example. And you don't You can use the STAR method for the interview. You can use the STAR method for talking to your employer. You can use the STAR method during your performance reviews as well. Super important. Basically, what it does is it helps you to structure your sentences. It helps you to give, to back up your claim with an example or with a particular result. And we love results. So, for example, when discussing your leadership skills, you can explain how you successfully led a team of 7 people to deliver a project ahead of schedule and under budget, which resulted in increased client satisfaction. So it helps you to expand your own accomplishments and to highlight your strengths and also showcase the results that you got. So you have to be very, very confident. You also have to, again, since you've done your research, you have to include that in all of your interviews. You have to also read your resume because they're going to ask you questions based on the resume that you submitted. And let's say you had someone do your resume for you, and then you go for an interview without reading what was on the resume. There is no way you would, confidently ace that interview because you really don't know what to say or how to answer some questions. So read your resume again, obviously, because it has to align with your online profile, should align with your resume, should align with the person that comes for the interview. So all of these things should be in alignment with who you are, with your goals, your values, your personal brand as well. Everything should be one complete package. And when it comes to delivering presentations, which is one of like the best ways to stand out in corporate, you have to be clear and confident. You have to have a well-structured presentation that aligns with whatever task you've been given or the audience's needs or whatever assignments you were given. You have to practice your presentation multiple times to enhance your confidence and fluency. Now, if you're like me and you don't like to practice so much, at least once, run it with somebody at least once. Because sometimes when we've done our presentation, we get tired. I know that there's a term for it. And then you begin to miss like certain mistakes because you looked at it so much. A second eye will be able to spot certain areas that you can improve on or make better. So at least practice your presentation once if you're presenting, especially if it's your first time and you're just trying to, build that confidence. Of course, work presentations are like the best places to start because you know your colleagues and they can help you and they can correct you. So start there, volunteer to give presentations, volunteer to speak for your team, volunteer to lead a team meeting, right? Because that's the only way that you learn, especially if they're not giving you that opportunity. Take it. Seriously, ask for it. The worst you can get is a no, but ask for it and use that to practice and build your own your own confidence. And then use visual aids like charts, graphs, media, images, etc. to engage your audience effectively. And when it comes to being nervous or stage fright, that's completely normal. I was very nervous and anxious before coming on here as well. But when when you have your mission statement and your vision in your mind of where you want to be, it will help to push you to actually overcome a lot of the fears that you have. So, you have to be calm, you have to see the bigger picture, know that it's okay to, be nervous or feel anxious or have anxiety, but then practice makes, I won't say perfect, it makes better, basically. So the more you do it, the better you get. The better you get, the more you stand out in your job. And if they know you are someone who gives amazing presentations, trust me, you'll be called into rooms that normally you should not even be in. Because again, you're known for this one thing that you do very, very well. So excelling in interviews and presentations, it requires preparation, confidence, and good communication skills. And same thing with your interview. Confidence, preparation, and effective communication skills. These three things would help you to nail every interview or any interview that you go for, especially if you have prepared and you have researched the company. Then the last one I want to talk about is your personal brand at work. This is my favorite one because so I work in construction. I work in the construction industry, and there's a certain way like you're supposed to behave if you work in construction, but I don't behave that way. Everyone else might, or I don't, because again, I am different. I like to be different, and I like to stand out. So you can also have your personal brand at work in your office. You can have that. So you don't have to be like everyone else. You don't have to say, oh, I'll build my brand or I'll post about things I like only on weekends and leave my 9 to 5 from Monday to Friday. You can have both, right? You can have both. So, and they don't have to be like starkly different, right? So building your personal brand within your organization is just as crucial as establishing your personal brand outside of your organization, right? So you have to consistently demonstrate your own expertise and work ethic to reinforce your personal brand. So if you know that you have the expertise and you're a hardworking person, use that, leverage that to reinforce your own personal brand. If you're just starting your job and you're still learning, that doesn't mean that you can have a personal brand as well. It just means that you would have to package it differently because you are still learning, and that's okay as well. So you have to demonstrate your own expertise, seek opportunities as well to take on challenging projects and showcase your problem solving skills. So don't wait for opportunities to just fall on your lap, especially at work, because I've not seen a case where that works before. You have to, if you want to, for example, if you want to, in the next 3 years, you really want to be in a leadership position, you want to work in leadership, right? And you see that nobody's really giving you any leadership task or any project lead task. Go and ask for them. Volunteer your time because you're learning and you're building that as part of your portfolio. So you have to constantly seek these opportunities within your workplace to take on challenges, because then it begins to showcase your skills or showcase the particular skills that you want people to know that you have. So volunteer to lead a team, volunteer to assist the team lead, contribute your ideas, demonstrate your own leadership qualities. You don't have to wait for them to tell you, oh, hey, come and lead this team. That's not how it works. I mean, it works like that sometimes, but that is not how it works. You have to first show them that you can actually do the work. You can take those extra steps that are needed, and that is when they can trust you. So if they're not giving you that opportunity, you have to then begin to ask for it or create the opportunity for yourself. Because again, our personal brand is unique to us and it is beneficial for us outside of the current company that we are in, even though again, it does help us in our careers. So it's also another way for you to build your personal brand within your organization is in how you communicate it. So communication is a fundamental aspect of personal branding at work. You have to be vocal. You have to showcase yourself. And I know that not everyone likes to do that. But who will say, oh, that's eye service. It's not eye service, because I have heard of people that they would do work and their team lead would take all the glory, or their colleague would take all the accolades for work that they did. And it's not fair. It's actually not fair. So that's why we have to always stand up for ourselves and stand out at work. So you have to be able to communicate respectfully, obviously, as normal, but you have to be able to communicate your own values. You have to be able to communicate your personal brand or any aspect of your personal brand that you know is valuable in the workplace. So you have to be confident. You cannot let people walk all over you. I mean, it's a process. You have to build that confidence, but you cannot let people walk over you. If you did a task, communicate that to your manager or to your team lead. learn how to do that. So it's a fundamental aspect of personal branding at work. You have to learn how to articulate your ideas clearly and concisely in meetings, in emails, in presentations. So all of this cuts across every aspect of your day to day. So even with the way you speak to people, right? It has to. It forms a part of your personal brand because it forms a part of people's image of you. So how you speak to them, how you respond in meetings, how you type out emails, how you make presentations, all of this forms a part of your professional brand at work. So it's also good for you to adapt to your company's culture or the corporate culture, but you have to stay true to your own values. You don't have to compromise on your values, just because you want to please the office or please the company. No, always stand up for your values, always uphold your own values, right? Because eventually, once you've done that once, twice, three times, they'll begin to get the idea that, okay, she's not a fan or he's not a fan of this particular aspect of what we do. And that's okay, that's fine. So as well, you want to adapt to the corporate culture. Remember to always stay true to your authentic self. Also, build strong relationships with your colleagues and your superiors, right? Remember, we are networking upwards with our superiors and also networking sideways with our colleagues and everyone else on the same level or around the same level that we are in. Participate in team building activities and company events. And the one thing that I like to personally do is to always ask for feedback. So my manager knows that I would always ask him for feedback around every 3 to 6 months. We will always schedule a meeting and I will always ask him for feedback because feedback helps you grow personally and professionally. If you don't know what you're doing wrong or what you're doing right or what you can improve on, then you will not go anywhere. So proactively seek feedback. Go and meet your manager and ask to schedule a meeting that you want honest feedback from him on how you can be a better employee or how you can contribute more to the company. And when you get that feedback, act on it, so it demonstrates your commitment to improvement and even to yourself, right? You get to learn more and you get to improve yourself more. I think our time is up. Yes, so I'll be taking questions now. If you have any questions for me, you can raise up your hand and I'll just start with the ones that are in the chat. So Collins, is Collins still here? He asked, how do you respond to the who are you question outside of your job profile? That's a very good question. And that's something that you would have to sit down and really think about. So if you did not have a job, who are you? All right. So it's a question of how you see yourself. It's a question of outside of your job role, what else do you enjoy doing? What else do you like to do? What brings you joy? What impact do you like to have on people? So that's a those different aspects of yourself forms who you are. So what are your values and what are your passions? What are the things that you hold in high regard? What are the things that make up who you are? And so aside, your job title is only a small part of who you are. There's so many layers to who Chukwuebuka is. There's so many layers. So you have to take time to reflect, to unpeel those layers of yourself so that when you're answering the question of who are you, you're not only thinking of, oh, I'm an engineer. Okay, engineer, and what else? What else is there that makes up Collins? So it's not a matter of like how you respond to the question. It's if you know the answers to the question, actually, of who are you. So that's something that you'd have to do and figure out by yourself. But if you mean in a general sense, if someone ask me who is Angel? I'm a teacher. I'm a coach. I love to see people win. I love to help people win. I like enjoyment. I like to find the easiest way possible to do something. So there's so many ways I can answer that question depending on the context that or the event I'm in. If it's a work event, obviously I will answer relating to my to what I do. But I very rarely, or I try to not use my job title as the first thing that I say. That's just a conscious habit that I have, just so that I don't tie my identity to my job title. Yeah. And so David, so you said you love to help young people, like yourself. You love to talk about scholarship opportunities, advise people on ways to navigate opportunities. Oh, this is actually very, very great. So how can you leverage this to start in the professional world? I would have to ask though, like, do you have a particular social media platform that you use? If you do, I would start there. But again, I'm a big advocate for LinkedIn. So pardon me that I keep on going back to LinkedIn. Because there's a variety of people that you can reach on LinkedIn, one, and there's a variety of people that can reach you on LinkedIn as well. So honestly, just start. You said knowing where to begin can be very difficult. You're right. If you overthink it, it will become very difficult. So don't overthink it, right? Just start. If you're on Twitter, just start with the share, like, one tip a day. Just start sharing one tip a day. Start by answering people's questions. Just start with something, and always start by giving out and giving your information for free until people can trust you enough to pay for that information. Remember, you can't just come up from out of the blue and say, I'm going to charge you $100 for a session with me. No one knows who you are. Why would I pay a random stranger money to tell me things when I have no idea that's what he does? So again, your professional brand will start there. If this is what you want to leverage, especially from a profit perspective, then you have to start showing up. You have to start showing people that this is what I do, and I know my stuff. I know it very, very well. So you have to start by building an audience of people that want this information. So simple, one tip a day. Share one scholarship tip a day or one scholarship opportunity a day. Look for other people that are doing the same thing and look at how they are doing it. That's also very, very important because no man's an island. There's no idea that is so unique and there's no one else that is doing something similar. So look for people that are doing what you're doing and look at what platform they are using, look at how they are using it, look at how they are posting, what they are posting about, and just start. One a day, just start, while you're also figuring out how you want to present your brand. So it will take you like trial and error to figure out the particular structure that you want. But don't wait till you figure it out first. Start first, and then you can figure, all of it out as you go. Yes. Oh, you're welcome. I hope I answered your question. Don't stop sharing my screen now.
Hi, Angel. I think
Hi.
thank you so much first to begin with. It's been a very amazing session. I personally have learned a lot, a whole lot from your session. We have a question here from YouTube. It says, I do some of all the set tips, but I'm still yet to get a role or a job from LinkedIn. So I don't really know. I think the person wants your advice. He says he has like putting up some of the set tips, but he's here to get a job or a role through LinkedIn. What would you advise this person?
So I try not to give people guarantees because you really cannot guarantee somebody a job. It's up to the company. But if you're using LinkedIn to source for jobs, there are a few things that you have to first put in place. So your headline has to be um, findable. Because when recruiters look for people, the first place that LinkedIn uses to show your profile is through your headline. So the job you're looking for, do you have the job titles on your headline? Do you have keywords in your headline? So we'll look at that. Your profile picture and your background picture as well, they have to be good, because that's prime real estate. People connect with people, people hire people. So your profile picture has to be, professional, clean, visible. The background photo has as well has to have something there that relates to what you do. Your about section, it cannot be generic. It has to be detailed. It has to talk about what you do, the projects that you've worked on, the experience that you have, the skills that you have as well. And they have to be relevant to the different jobs that you are applying for. And that goes on to I can't talk about like your LinkedIn profile in detail, but it goes on to every single part of your profile has to be filled out, and not just like the name and year. Description has to be there, because if a hiring manager goes to your profile, they need to be convinced that we can bring this person in for an interview. And of course, because it's a social media platform, keywords play a huge role. So your keywords, are you using the right keywords? Are you are you properly marketing yourself? Are you networking with the right people as well? So there are a lot of things to play. Obviously, it will not guarantee you a job, because no one can guarantee you a job. Anyone that's guaranteeing you a job is probably lying to you. No one can guarantee, unless they're the ones hiring, no one can guarantee you a job. But LinkedIn helps you to position yourself properly. So I would look at your positioning and, just again, look at other people, what they're doing, people that have gotten jobs on LinkedIn, look at what they've done, look at their profiles, how it is filled out, and do the same thing as well. But I will look at your profile again and make sure you're positioned in the right way and the best way for the role that you want to get.
All right. Thank you so much for that. I hope that answers the person's question. I said the bottom line is just keep trying. Don't give up.
Just keep showing up, really, because
the next session says so the next question from YouTube says, how can you start leveraging on network, especially how can you start leveraging on networking, especially when you don't have some achievable skills to showcase?
How can you not have skills?
Or like some no, I think it's like some achievements rather to showcase.
Well, if you don't have achievements, you have struggles. There is always, so first of all, I don't believe that anybody doesn't have an achievement. What I believe is that you don't know how to communicate whatever it is that you did into an achievement. Anything is an achievement, really. You finish your project faster than you normally would. That's an achievement. So one, I will look at how to reframe the daily task or the day-to-day task that you do that comes easy to you as an achievement. And two, don't focus on the achievement then. Focus on your struggles or the things that you're learning or things that you've learned. So you can talk about that as well. You want to build your personal brand. Remember that it's personal. That personal factor has to be there. And human beings have achievements, we have struggles, we have growth, we have learnings, all of those things. So while you're still working towards an achievement, you're learning something. Talk about what you're learning, or you've struggled with something. Share what you struggled and how you overcame it, because somebody is probably going through that path, and you would definitely connect with someone that way. So it doesn't have to be only achievements. It doesn't have to be. But I share about a lot of different things. I share about how I struggled to find a job when I was done with school. I shared about being an immigrant alone by myself. So you share your struggles if you can't find the achievement. but for sure, I know that you have an achievement somewhere. You might not think it's an achievement, but frame it as one. If it's an achievement to you, it doesn't care what anyone else thinks. Doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, I think. Sorry, before you read the next question, someone here has a question. Akorede, your hand has been up for a while.
Yeah, I saw that as well. Akos.
Yeah.
Yes, good morning. Yeah.
Hi,
Good
good morning.
morning.
Thank you very much for your session. I'm really having a nice time. I'm getting a lot. Please, I have a question for you, and
Of course.
I'm going to give you the context so that you understand. I have a job already,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a LinkedIn account with some followership. But the issue I have is that I usually use my LinkedIn to promote data science because I have found passion in data science. Then I don't even post about my job at all on LinkedIn. So sometimes, and I have followership, let me say connections from job from my workplace. So I sometimes I usually feel reluctant posting there. They'll be like, when they be feeling this guy is not serious, he's not taking our job seriously. He only post about data science and stuff. So I don't know, maybe you can help find an intersection or a balance between that and how to
Sure.
use LinkedIn.
Can I ask, what do you do at work?
I'm a miller, actually, flower milling.
Okay. Okay. So,
Yes.
there's two ways to answer this question, right? Some people will tell you that you should not, like, don't care about your company, but please care about your company. You want to remain employed. Let's care about your company. So what I would do is do a bit of both, right? Remember, as much as you're all about data science, and you're all about data science and everything, you are still a corridor, you are still a person, and data science is just one part of the person, right? So I would suggest that you also make some posts about you working, where you're working. It could just be like a day where you talk about maybe something that you did at work that you're very proud of, or a new or you can talk about how you can use data science in your current job with with the industry that you're currently in now. So there are ways that you can always integrate these two different passions, or these two different things that you do into, and just mix them up with your posts. Does that make sense? So you can talk about your, like, a day at work for you, or what you learned at work today, or maybe something that you overcame at work. You can also talk about data science as it relates to flour milling, and then you can talk about data science on its own. So you can always have bits of what you do, just so that you can appease the people at work. So it won't be like you're doing something entirely different online and then you're coming into work. Does that
Okay,
help?
thank you. Yes, yes. At least coming from a professional, at least I'm satisfied. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Uh, awesome. Thank you everybody for your questions. I penned down quite a number of questions. So you started out talking about, and I think the first point I highlighted is not ensuring that you're not lying.
Please,
As much
don't
as
lie.
as much as you're presenting yourself. And I think the bottom line of this conversation is being in charge of how people perceive you, really.
Yes.
So like, and while you're at it, ensure that you're not lying. And so how from my so how do you ensure that you present yourself? What's the bridge? What's the bridge between, oh, I want to sell myself and I don't want to? I think the bridge is like starts with what you have. You can't give what you don't have, really, and the value that you can offer. And so, I would like to ask, like, how do I present myself? Like, how do I market myself without lying? Like, because I think there's a thin line between presenting yourself and like
Yeah.
marketing it. Like, not lying and still marketing yourself so well. So what's the
There is, and so
balance of that?
for me personally, for me it starts with my own values, right? I value honesty above anything, and I don't like
Yeah,
to mislead people. So I like
that's
to show myself as authentic as I am. If I'm still learning about something, I would say it. I'm learning about this. I would not present as someone who's an expert on something when I don't feel confident in that space. So one, I would start with your own personal values. You know, what is, if honesty and integrity is a value of yours that you uphold, it will be easier for you to not lie. And you can always market yourself without embellishing or without lying, because either way, if you get opportunities or you get like gigs or hired and you lied, it will show. And if you get a
yeah,
bad
yeah,
reviews don't, bad news spreads faster than good news,
yeah.
unfortunately. It's true. There's not much we can do about that in the world. So if you lie and then someone trusts your lie and gives you a job or something, and then you mess up the job, that would, like, people will hear about it. And before you even go and learn about it and come back, they've already formed an impression of you. So you can still okay. So as I've noticed that even as human beings, we like to follow people on their journey. We like to watch people, like, go from learning to become experts. So
Yeah.
carry people along your journey. You might think like it's people want you to become, and people will respect you if you're an expert. No,
Overnight.
people will respect you when they can see you going from one level to the next and they are following you along their journey. Because trust is built, you know, in stages. Trust is built in time. It's not built immediately. I won't just trust you one day because I saw you posting about expert advice on career. I don't know you. So even if even if other people know you, I don't know you. So I will not even trust you at all. But if it's someone that I have watched, go from one client to two clients, from two to four, handled four, gone to six, I would trust the person because I have seen the process. So we like to see processes, and processes they are okay. It's okay to grow and showcase your growing, show the things that you failed at and how you got better. It's okay to do all of those things. So you don't have to present as someone you are not, because lies don't stay covered for a long time. Eventually somebody will figure it out. And
Yeah.
that's not good for anybody, really.
Thank you so much, Angel. I was very surprised when you mentioned how that you were always shy
I
before. Like
Yes.
it's surprising, and I'm curious. Like, how did you develop yourself this much?
Practice.
Uh,
Lots and lots of practice. If you see me at home, I'm always talking to myself in front of the mirror. I imagine that I am, giving a speech somewhere and I'm really talking, and just, you would think I've gone crazy. But it's a lot of practice. And also because again, part of my mission statement and my long-term goals, I've always enjoyed teaching. I've enjoyed coaching people and teaching people and helping people. And you can't do all of those things if you're always in your shell. You can't. And when I realized that I have this desire to help people, but I'm afraid, that's like it doesn't work. So one of them had, so it was either I let go of my goals or I let go of the fear of talking to people. And it took me a while, but eventually, like, I began just chip away at being shy. And I mean, I still get shy, especially if it's like a new environment. I still get shy. I still go to networking events and I just stay in one corner because I'm shy. That still happens from time to time, but it's something that I'm actively working on and actively pushing past every single day. So I guess that answers it basically. I had to make a choice: either lose the goal, long-term goal and vision I had for myself, or figure out how to enjoy talking to people.
yeah, emphasis on practice. I think
Yeah.
I'll take a cue from you on that. I have been having, and then speaking of like feedbacks, it's been helpful because it helps me drive my practice better.
Mm-hmm.
I have been getting feedbacks with my communication, in-person communication, and a lot of them have been talking about my volume, and I
This
need to like,
morning, I'll talk about your volume too. This
uh,
morning.
okay, okay, I'm still working on that. I'm just gonna keep practicing and
Of
getting
course.
feedback. So next question is like, if I am someone who does not like to um to be online, or like to put my stuffs online,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just kind of a low key person who just want to like keep things private and stuff. So how do you advise that kind of person? Do you advise them to like be come out of that and change that, or to seek alternative means to marketing themselves other than selling themselves, marketing themselves online?
Um, Now it depends on what the person's goals are, right?
Mm.
So if you're okay, so if you're a private person and you are a freelancer and you want to get clients, that won't work. It's unfortunate, but like that if you want to get clients, you have to put yourself out there. And even if it's not online, it will be in person. You have to put yourself out there one way or the other, because clients will just stumble on your page and be like, let me pay him to design for me. They've not seen any design you've done. They just be like, he says he's a good designer. Let me contact him. No, they will scroll through your media, look at other things that you have designed, and be like, okay, let me. Because see, people buy from people. People trust people. That's why brands always have like a face of a brand, and they'll pay someone millions of naira or dollars to be the face of the brand, because people buy from people. People want to see who is carrying the brand on their heads. I mean, unless you're a brand like Apple or Google, that they're already big on their own, they don't need faces. But other brands, like, they put the human beings there because people buy from people, people trust and relate to people. So if your goal is to get clients or get business, somehow you have to put yourself out there. It might not be every single day, but your personality should like spill out once a while. Let people know that it's a human being that's here. Interact with other people. If you don't want to post, comment on people's posts. So find an either or. If it's in your workplace, like in a corporate environment, my question then would be, do you want to like get promotions? Do you want to become a leader or an executive at work, a supervisor? Because if your goal is to do all of those things, those roles are very much client and people facing roles. So either way, you're going to have to put yourself out there at work at least. Now, if you don't want to market yourself online, that's fine, but you have to do it in your workplace. People would have to know you, because they will not just promote you to a client facing or leadership role if if they don't see you in activities, or they don't see you driving things, or they don't see you volunteering your time. So even if it's not online, either way, you're going to be marketing yourself one way or the other, if that is your goal. But if you don't have like any goals like that, you just want to like do your work and go home, which is fine, then that works for you, because people are different. People have different goals and needs and wants. If your goal is just to do your work and go home and rest, then that's fine. But if you want more, you'd have to do more than that. So yeah, if you want to be maybe my advice would be, if you want to be like more private and more low key, post more about what you do than your own face or something. Post about what you do, but once in a while you have to show your face, because that's how you get and keep people interested in what you have to say. So yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully that's helps.
yeah. Thank you, Angel. So I for rounding up, next question is like, so how marketing yourself simply implies being in control of how people perceive you. and and that means, like you mentioned earlier, you would have to let people know your values and your boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how do you go about that? Because you don't want to be tossed to and fro and just be at everybody's beck and call. So, how do you manage that without appearing as the villain, to people,
Do you
or
mean
like
like
coming across as proud and saucy
Oh,
or whatever?
I mean, look, um, you don't have to be proud or arrogant about it, but you can be very self-confident. People might always mistake that as proud, and there's really nothing you can do about that. But as long as you know that you're actually not being proud, you're just being confident about your own abilities, um, then that's fine. Then with you said about creating boundaries at work. So if you're just building, that kind of system around yourself, you won't just go to work one day and say, oh no, I'm no longer doing this. I am now doing this. You just think that you've lost your mind. So it's gradually introduce them to maybe like the new boundaries you're setting or the new skills or the new things that you want to do. So ask to do something or volunteer to lead something, right? Decline, a task if you know that you really don't want to. Respectfully, of course. But if it's a task that you've been assigned to, you should do it. That's different. But so it's you have to understand the nuances in your own company and understand that people need time to adjust to changes as well. So gradually ask for more work or ask for opportunities to lead a presentation or give a presentation. If they say no, fine. You ask again and again until they say yes. They'll say yes eventually. If it's that maybe your company has a particular event that you don't really enjoy or it doesn't align with your values, you say no, that you can't come, you have things to do at home. Eventually they will get the idea. After I said no like 1, 2, 3 times, they will get the idea and they will adjust because people will adjust. They will adjust to you eventually.
Thank you so much, Angel, for your time and the valuable insights that you have sharing
You're
with us so
welcome.
far. Everybody, I want you to say thank you to Angel for um, being out of our way. I'm sure a lot of people have been dropping their appreciation as well. Um, Angel, thank you so much. We appreciate your time
Thank you.
with us and the values that you've added. I think we don't have any questions before I move on to the next thing on the agenda. Um, yeah, no questions anymore.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Thank
So
you so much for having me. Really?
yeah, it's an honor having you. We look forward to more of this. You can
Of course.
always connect with Angel on
Yes,
Twitter.
on
Actually, and on LinkedIn. I think I met you on Twitter, and it's quite
yes,
an
it was
irony
I
because
was
a
on
lot of
Twitter, you met me,
people,
that's true.
yeah, because a lot of people feel Twitter is for like cruising, making jokes, and
I've gotten
and expressing
of
yourself.
opportunities from Twitter. So
Wow,
again, it
interesting.
depends. Honestly, if you present yourself well and brand yourself well, even if you're
Yeah.
just laughing with your friends, people still know what you're about, and they will still
Mhm.
reach out to you for your business. As long as
Yeah.
that branding, is there and you're consistent, with it.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting. So it's all about being in control of how people
Yes, of
perceive
your
you and
narrative. Yes.
using the tools at your disposal to do that.
Yes.
Basically, thank you so much again for that. Really, 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 really glad that we ended up having you here.
I'm glad to.
Yeah, it's nice. You came fully prepared, and I'm really, really impressed at that. Thank you so
Of
much.
course. Thank you
All
so
right,
much for
so
having me.
yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So everyone, we are transitioning to the next session. The next session will be by 8 p.m. Nigerian time, and we'll be having more details. I think Angel couldn't cover into details of like as it applies to job hunting, especially with like your LinkedIn and everything. And Angel really touched more of like the soft skills that you need when you're in the industry or when you're about going into an industry or even if you are like an entrepreneur. So we have um, the next guest coming up is Funmilola. She's from the UK and she's an HR professional and she has international experience in these things. And would like to see you guys come join that session. And um, yeah, it's really gonna be a great time. And like I mentioned earlier, Carrie's Folks is really about, well, not really about religion, but really about impacting young people with with the truth. Okay, I'm really about impacting young people with Christ Jesus, and not just with Christ Jesus, but with a life, a balanced life. And we want you to have a life of excellence, all round excellence. And that's why we put together things like this because we know it's not about spending 24/7 in the church praying. You know, there are things that you need to learn, and there are people you have to go to. And I was very intentional about people I invited because I ensured that these people were also Christians. And that shows you that what God wants you to do. Look at Angel, for instance. She's a Christian and she's doing well, you know, as she's going up the ladder in her career and it's just to show you that young people can be more than what they are currently. And if we can have more investments into our mindsets, our intelligence, then we can be more valuable. Okay, and the scripture I have here in front of me is from Daniel. It talks about Daniel. I'll just in the next 5 minutes share with us on this, and then we'll round up. It says about Daniel that he distinguished himself above the governors and the satraps because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king gave thought to setting him over the whole earth. And this really is in line with what we're talking about marketing yourself. It's very possible that you do all the things that you have learned today, and people still don't appreciate you. So there is also the supernatural aspect to it. There's the God factor. Like I always say, there's always the God factor to whatever it is you're doing. There's always that God's blessing upon whatever it is that you're doing. Okay, and here we see that what made Daniel stand out was an excellent spirit that was on him. And it wasn't just about all the effort he was putting in. He was also positioned well. Okay, people were able to see what he was doing. People were able to, and not just anyhow people now. So people that matter, decision makers, the king himself, and then he began to take initiative. And so there's a supernatural aspect of it. There's a place of you having the spirit of excellence, and then there's a place of God's favor being upon you. Okay, and so you can't have the spirit of excellence except you're a child of God. And so I'll round up by extending this an invitation to you. If you're not yet a child of God, you are welcome to receive Jesus into your heart. Just wherever you are, just receive Jesus into your heart, because by doing that, it means that you acknowledge that He died for your sins and that He's your personal Lord and Savior. And then by doing that, you can have His Spirit dwell in you, and that Spirit is the Spirit of excellence. That Spirit is the one that sets you apart and guides you and tells you what to do part time. Okay, and when you have that, when you do that, when you make that decision, it's going to change your life. It's one of the best decisions you can ever make in your life, receiving Jesus as your Lord and Savior. And if you have received Jesus as your Lord and Savior, another decision you are going to make that is going to be valued to use to develop your relationship with the Spirit of God, because the Spirit of God will lead you, the Spirit of God will guide you, the Spirit of God will supernaturally tell you who to connect and who to not to connect with, tell you how to go about life generally. Okay. I really encourage you to put God first and always remember the God factor. The God factor. Okay, it's time to round up. And let us pray. Father, we thank you for as many that have joined us today and that will still watch this session. Thank you because a lot of value has been impacted. We thank you because a lot of lives have been changed. We thank you, dear God, because what you are doing right now is not a waste of time. We thank you because you are not wasting your resources. And a lot of people are going to be blessed by what you're doing through us. And so, Father, we ask for as many that have made the decision to receive you into their heart, Lord Jesus, that you establish them much more in you and help them to have a developing and growing relationship with your spirit. Father, we ask for everyone, some people, especially that person who mentioned how they have tried some of the tips mentioned here and they still don't have a job. We ask that you bring your increase upon their life. We ask that you bring your favor upon the works of their hands. We ask that you inspire them in the right direction. Inspire them to know the right steps to take and begin to take those right steps. And so, Father, we ask that you help us, you really help us, and let your favor be upon us, and let your spirit of excellence further have expressions through us. In Jesus' name, amen. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. We look forward to having you in the evening. Thank you again, Angel. Yeah, we'll
You're
catch
welcome.
up. We'll catch up
Okay.
later. And please,
All right.
the slides, everyone. Angel will be sending the slides.
Yes.
Oh wow. David says he will stop telling lies on you. Yeah, that's interesting. That's a good one. Yeah,
Yes.
a lot of people need to do that, make that resolution. So Angel, I think the slide you have, you can just do small work on it, but I think the
Yes.
slide you have, for me, the slide you have, I think is good enough. And share with us. And those will have their emails, we're going to send it across to them as
Okay.
well.
All
Thank
right
you so
then.
much, Angel.
Of course. You're welcome. Have a good
Bye.
one.
Yeah,
Bye.
you as well. Bye.